My friends, today I'll share 5 things that I reckon are kind of must-haves in your football matchday bag. Because, sure, you can get by with just a pair of football boots and that's it. But here's the thing, that if you have at least a couple of these things in your bag, your trainings, but especially your match experiences, will just be that much nicer and maybe give you that, mental edge that could be the difference maker when you play. Now, of course, if you think that 5 things are a little too much, I've listed them in prioritized order, meaning that if you are on a budget, you can look at the list to see what's most important and what you should focus on. And of course, you can buy everything on the list via the link to unisportstore.com right up there or in the description. Let's do it. Now, the first game-changing must-have in your football bag, in my book at least, is a good pair of shin pads. And I know that shin pads are vital and also mandatory to wear most places because they protect you against getting injured and thus sitting on the sideline for a few months, which, let's all agree, that kinda sucks. But the thing with them being mandatory is that a lot of players don't really like the sensation of wearing shin pads, and thus it's a bit of a headache for them to wear them. And this is where a good pair of shin pads come into play, because take the pair of G-Form Pluses here, which is basically a soft foam shell that's pretty flexible, which has been engineered onto a compression sleeve. And what you get here is basically the protection as the foam hardens up a lot on impact, but still with the flexibility that means that you don't really get that restrictive sensation that you would normally get in a traditional pair of shin pads. And let me put it this way, those are my teammates who normally hate wearing shin pads with a passion, gave these a go, and almost all of them have made the switch. So they are a bit expensive, sure, but they're also total game changers and really worth it if you don't like wearing traditional shin pads. Get these instead. Now, the second thing I'd consider a bit of a must-have in your bag is a pair or a couple of pairs of grip socks, which again is another thing that you can play your entire life without and be completely fine. But as I always say, once you try a pair of grip socks, there's just no going back because the experience is so good. Now, the difference from normal football socks is that grip socks kind of go in and act as the middleman between your foot and the boot, eliminating slippage because of the little grip elements and movement inside of the boot, which leads to a better, more comfortable fit and the feeling of having more responsive and connected feel inside of your boots. Now, of course, as with everything else in the football world, they come in different qualities and price ranges, but to me, the best ones are the Falcon 4 grips and the Liiteguard Pro-Tech socks, which are both 33 euros a pair. It's quite expensive, but also really worth it. But you could also try and get the Unisport flash print socks, which are 6 euros, and definitely also reasonable value for the money. It's a good entry-level pair for grip socks. But another thing I'd also really recommend that you at least consider is to get a pair of compression base layer shorts. The thing here is that they go in and add a nice bit of compression to your thighs that just makes you feel ready when you have to go and play a match. And ultimately, they actually also help you in speeding up the recovery process if you played a really tough 90 minutes. And I also like the fact that I think they look kind of cool when you play, but they also give that extra layer of protection if you go down in slide tackles, especially on AG at least. Ugh, I hate that. Now, of course, these also come in a variety of price points, but the best ones to me is the Liiteguard Glu-Tech model, which, yes, it's 53 euros, but is also hands down the best pair of base layer shorts I've ever worn in my life, by a country mile. Now, if that's a little too expensive, there are also the Unisport base layer shorts, which are a bit more basic, but also only 25 euros, and for that price, they do a really good job. So, compression shorts, you're welcome. But I don't think it's a bad idea either to get yourself a base layer shirt, which is nice because A, it adds an extra layer of insulation when it's cold out there to keep you nice and warm and dry. And honestly guys, playing in the cold, we all hate that, but it gives you that warmth and the comfort, even though it's cold, that, it just hits different. But of course, it can also keep you dry and cool if it's really warm outside because it wicks away moisture and sweat and transports it into your playing shirt instead. Now, if it's really cold outside, I tend to go for the Nike or Adidas option. It just works, keeps you really nice and warm. But if it's warm, I mean, you can use any of the brands. They all do a good job. You can go for the Unisport base model here, 25 euros again, and does what it's supposed to. And the thing is that just like with grip socks, I think that once you try a base layer shirt, it's something you don't want to say goodbye to again. And finally, there's the boot care kit, which, do you really need it? Well, I think you do, otherwise it wouldn't be on the list, but technically, no, you don't need it. But here's the thing, guys, if you've been playing in the rain or in really muddy conditions, having the ability to just take those 2 minutes to clean your boots and then give them a good dry over afterwards to make sure that not only do they last longer, but they also usually smell nicer and are actually nice to come back to next time you play, it's totally worth it. And I think that your teammates will be just a little bit jealous when you whip this out. But again, guys, if I could only choose one thing, it would be to get myself a really good pair of shin guards that I don't hate playing with. But then also maybe at least considering getting a pair of grip socks. Trust me on that one. But guys, which do you think is the most important must-have accessory in your football bag? Let me know as always in the comment section right down below. Remember that you can buy all of this stuff and much more in the link to Unisport right over there. Maybe consider hitting the playlist in the bottom corner if you want to learn some new skills. And of course, remember, if you haven't done so already, to subscribe to the channel with the notifications on to join one of the biggest and best football families here on YouTube. And with those words, I'll be signing off. Cheerio.